That's not a Bitcoin chart. That's an S&P 500 chart. What is on there, though, plotted on there, are the Bitcoin halvings in the white lines that you see, and the Bitcoin bull markets, the crypto bull markets in green. The data on this screen, I just started digging into this. Absolutely incredible, actually, to see how this is relating to the current cycle of crypto. I think it offers so many clues. We go to the Bitcoin chart. This is the Bitcoin chart, zoomed out. We are approaching halving. We are a few days from the end of this year, 2023, after some monumental, insane gains. Two questions on people's mind. Is this time different? Is this time different? Bitcoin spot ETF, so many bullish things happening in crypto. Are we going to keep going and start testing all-time highs without a retracement? The other question is, will the cycles of crypto repeat? And we do get a retracement going into halving, perhaps. I want to break down those questions and answer them with just data. Very clear data that is on the screen right now. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like, and let's just jump into it. I think this is the biggest thing to end out the year. And what kind of gave me the idea to do this is I was on a Twitter, an X space earlier on Coin Bureau. I was a speaker on there, and somebody came up and they started talking about how they've been using the S&P 500 as this guide, this roadmap in terms of making macro decisions in crypto. This is what he mentioned, and I thought it was very interesting because I haven't really dug into this. He was mentioning a Fibonacci retracement that the S&P 500 has recently broken. So very similar to what we do with the bull market doors. I go to Bitcoin. The bull market doors, as many of you know, is a Fibonacci. It's a bull market high to a bear market low, that green rectangle. It's a Fibonacci area, this area where Bitcoin breaks through these bull market doors. It's a resistance area. This has been broken in cycles past. So it was broken back here in November 2020. That's where the Fibonacci was broken. And it was also broken back here in 2016. Now, this is the question. Will it be tested and broken prior to the Bitcoin halving? Because these past cycles, it's been after. But interestingly enough, this person on the X space was mentioning the Fibonacci on the S&P 500. So let me just chart it. And then we're going to relate it to the crypto cycles and how it's helpful and useful in terms of what's going to happen next on the macro in crypto on the Bitcoin chart. So you can see S&P 500 testing its own Fibonacci bull market doors, right? Failing at the resistance, coming back up, and just most recently pretty much breaking the bull market doors, right now testing all-time high. The reason this is important to me is because notice where the Bitcoin halving is. That's the Bitcoin halving. Notice historically where the next Bitcoin crypto bull market really is, when the bull market doors on crypto are broken. It's post-halving. What I want to point out is if we go back, and this is where we start really getting some good solid data, not to the last cycle. Certainly we could go to the last cycle, but we go back and we go to the cycle before that, right? So prior to this 2016 into 17 bull market, I just want to show you something. Check out the swing low, the swing high to just this swing low, big swing low on S&P 500. And we have this Fibonacci right here. Notice how this area, this Fibonacci, was being tested on the S&P 500 prior to the Bitcoin halving. And then at the Bitcoin halving, right, it's actually breaking all-time high. S&P 500 breaking all-time high. Now, after that, obviously, some retracement and then just cruising to the upside. The reason I want to show you this is because on the Bitcoin chart, something I've identified, I think we've been talking a lot about this in videos for the last year, if not longer than a year, the similarities of this bear market exit to the last bear market exit and the bear market exit before that, very similar. I've been trying to identify what's more similar, this last cycle kind of exiting the bear market or the cycle before. And I truly think at this point, with the move Bitcoin has made, it's the cycle before. There's more similarities in terms of what Bitcoin is doing right now and what it did back here in this cycle. Now notice in this cycle back here, swing high, bull market high 2013 to swing low, bear market low. Notice how it tested the bull market doors right here prior to the halving. And then it retraced going right into and through the halving. And then bull market kind of just blew up from there. The reason I'm bringing this up is because at this moment, when this Bitcoin halving was occurring, go back to the S&P 500 chart. What was happening? S&P 500 was kind of leading the way in terms of all-time highs. in terms of hitting all-time highs before Bitcoin, but kind of acted as this signal to say, hey, we're hitting all-time highs and we're going higher. And it kind of opened the doorway for also Bitcoin to kind of enter its own bull market and start breaking its all-time highs. But if we zoom out now on the S&P 500, just check it out. Look at all the Bitcoin bull cycles. The last bull cycle, higher highs and higher lows in the S&P 500. The cycle before that, this is S&P 500 chart, by the way, higher highs and higher lows at the bull and through the bull market. Bull market before that, higher highs and higher lows through the Bitcoin bull market. Now, my point is this. S&P 500 kind of acting as a leading indicator prior to the halvings, right? And this is exactly what I'm talking about. You can just see how Bitcoin or S&P 500 broke this Fibonacci leading into the halving to all-time high. And you go back to what we're looking at now, the current S&P 500 charts, what did it just do prior to the Bitcoin halving? It breaks this Fibonacci, and going into the halving once again, maybe it'll stall out right now. It hasn't broken all-time high, but S&P 500 very close to break all-time high, while Bitcoin not yet breaking all-time high. Now, here's where things get really dicey, really interesting. We have all this space. We have all this time. Very similar to how we had all of this time. And by the way, it was breaking all-time high prior to the last halving as well. And I'm just more comparing it to two halvings ago because I think there's way more similarities on the Bitcoin charts. So I wanted to compare it to back here. But it was also breaking all-time high, S&P 500, at a similar time frame as it is right now. So you can see back then breaking all-time high, that gap there. Also, going into an election year, we are here once again going into an election year, November 2024, as S&P 500, getting ready to break all-time highs. What volatility will exist here? What insane volatility will exist here? Is S&P 500 just going to keep going? Or is there going to be retracement? I don't know if there's going to be a black swan event. I think there is a very strong case that there could be this year. I don't know if there will be, but look at that dip. And so look at the dip after it hit S&P 500 hit all-time highs back at the Bitcoin halving of 2016. It dipped. There's room for retracement for S&P 500. And certainly if we go back to the Bitcoin chart now, just to kind of start bringing all this together, there is room for retracement on the Bitcoin charts. Now, the thing that's awesome here is here's our bull market doors right here. If Bitcoin manages to not retrace, this would be the typical move that I'm showing you on the screen right now. That's the typical move. If Bitcoin manages to not retrace and actually just test the bull market doors and starts breaking them, this would be like something that this is nothing Bitcoin has done before. This would be a first. And it would be incredibly bullish for crypto if this were to happen. But I just want to show you something. And I'm going to use a couple of Lux algo indicators because they're really helpful for me. The break of structure here, followed by the change of character on the macro. This is a weekly chart. This is very zoomed out. So we have the change of character, which is price breaking a prior swing low during an uptrend, triggers. And then we have the break of structure, which is price breaking a prior swing high during an uptrend. These two things happening have triggered the last two bull markets. But notice this, last bull market was post-halving. Change of character, break of structure, bull. Go back to the one that we're comparing more truly to the current Bitcoin cycles. Go back here to that last cycle. Pre-halving, change of character, break of structure, bull. This is more where we are. But notice going into halving, Bitcoin fell. Bitcoin retraced. While, if we go back to the S&P 500 in 2016, while S&P 500 2016 was seeing all-time highs. So right now, markets, S&P 500, traditional markets, are so on pace to really repeat, but it might not come without a retracement. And if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, this is truly what we could be looking at. And just notice the 200-week moving average on this chart is the red line that you see there. There's a 200-week moving average right around 29,000, 30,000. The 50-week moving average right around the same area, 29 to 30,000. The 20-week moving average, the green line, right on 33,000. This entire area is just 100% waiting for Bitcoin to fall into it. I'm ready for that. And at the same time, if over the next couple of weeks going into New Year, the narrative of the Bitcoin spot ETF is just too much for the bears to contend with, and Bitcoin does another leg up, it will be testing the bull market doors in a very similar fashion as it has before. And the question I'll be asking if that happens, is it going to break the bull market doors in this next leg up if it happens? Because look, last cycle, swing high to swing low, bull market doors tested pre-Bitcoin halving, failed, came back down, didn't break the bull market doors till post-halving. You go back to the cycle before, which is, I think, more in line with this current cycle, swing high, swing low, Bitcoin, pre-halving, tested the bull market doors, failed. Everybody wants to say it's different this time because of institutions and big money and we're further along, it's different this time. But every cycle, everybody says that. And we have all of the technicals lining up just so nicely that are hinting at just be ready for a dip. And I can't help but not ignore that. And so this is what I'm watching. But I'll tell you what, this is why I do technical analysis, so that I can anticipate downside, understand that it's normal if it happens. But if Bitcoin trends away from previous cycles and what it's done in the cycles past, starts testing the doors, starts breaking above the Bitcoin bull market doors, for me, that would be an absolute epic bullish confirmation that I will be happy to cover in a video when it happens. So I really just wanted to bring it all together. This S&P 500 data I thought was interesting as this Fibonacci broken most recently as we're getting ready to go into Bitcoin halving. I really thought it was an interesting just perspective. I know, everybody, that there's so many different moving parts to this, the macroeconomic landscape of things, the wars that are going on, the current election cycle that's coming up, not only in the United States, but across the world, and just the amount of just fraud, manipulation from so many different perspectives. So many different things could happen in 2024 that are so unknown, that are so unpredictable. And that's really the biggest moving piece that none of us can even anticipate or even expect or be ready for. But what we can do is prepare for everything and just be ready for anything. So those are my thoughts. Everybody, want to do a little video as crypto's kind of just consolidate right now. I appreciate you. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.